Good morning. I had the opportunity to interview actor Brett Nichols for the play 12 Angry Men. It was produced in January 2016 at the Old Town Playhouse in Traverse City, Michigan. There have been 187,854 video views on YouTube seen since the year of 2016 on the whole documentary video. And it was a masterpiece of theater. And actor Brett Nichols was on fire when he first stepped on the stage. And at the end of the play, 12 Angry Men, he exploded over their audience sitting back in their chairs.
I'd like to say a few words about juror number 3, played by Brett Nichols. Brett is another veteran actor of the Playhouse, although he's of the somewhat younger set. In this play, Brett is pretty much the protagonist and the fulcrum of the plot, in which he is the holdout. He's also got a personal vendetta that comes from his past experience with a young man of his own, which he tells a very heartbreaking and compelling story. Brett's character is quite intelligent. He's a guy who, along with his wife, put together a delivery service. And in the beginning of the play, he's talking to juror number 4 about how successful this messenger delivery service is, and it's called Beck and Call, I believe. And when he doesn't get a good response from juror number 4 as to the name of his business, he says, "Well, my wife came up with that name." character that the audience really has to like, despite the fact that he is so aggressive and poorly behaved throughout the run of this play. And I think that this particular role calls for, actors call it an arc. He comes into the play at a certain place and he exits the play at a totally different place. And it's a real acting challenge in a script like this to get to that place. And given that this play has evolved over so far 9 performances, Brett has expressed the feeling of this character more and more. I think it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable to an audience in a way that belies the nature of your character. And by that I mean he comes into the play as a very aggressive, self-assured, but damaged man because of his family life. And at the end of the play, he comes to an understanding of that and gives us resolution. So that this is a pivotal role, number 3. Now, Brett, I've been on stage with in Les Mis. He was Jean Valjean, a wonderfully acted and sung character. He's been in a lot of musicals. This guy can do it all. He can sing and dance and act. So it's really been a pleasure to be on stage with Brett Nichols again. I really couldn't say enough great things about Brett. And I think that I would defer and leave the great things to Brett to say about. So here's Brett Nichols.
Hi, my name is Brett Nichols, and I play juror number 3 in the Old Town Playhouse production of 12 Angry Men. The process has been a huge wake-up call for me. I'll start out by saying it's my first non-musical show that I've ever done in the Old Town Playhouse main stage. Typically I'm a musical theater guy. I've done a couple non-musical theaters over at our smaller theater studio at the Depot, but this is my first main stage non-musical, and I'll tell you what, it couldn't have been a better experience.
I vote not guilty.
Oh, brother! Okay, now what are you talking about? Come on, it's like we're all going crazy in here or something. The kid is guilty. Why don't you pay attention to the facts? Listen, tell him, will you? It's gonna be a goddamn joke.
The vote is 8-4 in favor of guilty.
I mean, everybody's heart is starting to bleed for this punk little kid like the president just declared it Love Your Underprivileged Brother Week or something. Now listen, I want you to tell me why you changed your vote, huh?
First of all, I'll start out with the actors that we had on stage. Fantastic actors, Old Town Playhouse veterans. I was talking to somebody after the show last night, and I think we determined that we had about 250 years of combined acting experience up on the stage for this production. So you couldn't have asked for a better show. 12 Angry Men is a very important piece of work. It's transcendent. It was written a long time ago. It was written in the 50s. It took place in 1957, the show itself did, but all of the topics that were dealt with in this play are pertinent to today. Topics from racism to racial bias to personal motivators of decisions of why people make the decisions that they do regarding a jury and why somebody is guilty and why they're not. The process for the show began with auditions about 2 months ago. A whole lot of people showed up, and I was lucky enough to be cast in the show. And from there, it just started with character development. Actually, rehearsing and blocking the show was some of the least amount of work that we had to do. We're in a very small space. We're confined typically to a table and a little bit of space on either side of that table. So the blocking, while it was important to make sure that it worked for the audience, was the least amount of work that we had to do. At least for me personally, that's how it felt. For me, character development was one of the biggest things that I had to work on and deal with. I made a deal with myself that when I was cast in this, that I would only watch the movie one time at the very beginning of the process, because admittedly, I'd never seen the movie. I'd read the script before, but I'd never seen the movie. So I decided I'd watch the movie one time to get a general feel for it. But I did not want to influence my character, my juror number 3, from what I saw in the movie. I wanted to develop that character from beginning to end on my own, and that's exactly what I did. As I started thinking about juror number 3, who has no name, he's juror number 3 in the script, he's juror number 3 in the program. And Debbie, our director, when we were on stage rehearsals, we were not allowed to call each other by our names. we would call each other by our juror numbers, whether it was in casual conversation or whether we were rehearsing the show. And we did this because in a jury room, it's anonymity. You don't know each other. You don't know each other's backstory aside from what somebody in the jury room decides that they want to share. So when I started building my character, first I developed my character's name. And my character's name now, I can tell you, was David Call, but it's K-A-H-L. And I got that because I have a line in the show where I own a messenger service, and it's called the Beck and Call Company, so I decided I'd throw that in there. So David Call was my character's name. He did own the messenger service. That part was revealed in the show, but other than that, aside from the fact that he was married with a 20-year-old son whom he hasn't seen in 2 years, which was part of the baggage that he carried with him into the deliberation room, you don't know much about the character. So I built on that character. I talked with our assistant director and our director about my character's backstory, where he comes from, how he grew up, why he's angry, why he is the way he is, and I developed all that from beginning to end, and that really helped me keep that character in place the entire time that we're on stage. Because when you're on stage, you become that character, and you got to make sure that you know who your character is. And that was a huge part for me in helping me get through this. That and the support that we had from the production staff, the director especially, and all the other veteran actors that I was fortunate enough to share the stage with.
Yeah. Look at this. Now that kid you just decided was not guilty was seen ramming this thing into his father. Now look at it, Mr. Reasonable Doubt.
But that's not the knife. Don't you remember?
You come in here with your sanctimonious talk about slum kids and injustice, and you start making up a bunch of stories, and maybe you start getting through to some of these old ladies in here. But you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. What's the matter with you people, huh? Every one of you in here knows this kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
Well, I'm one of them.
Well, maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
Now, for this kid, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Listen, don't you start with me now.
Ever since you walked in here, you've been behaving like some self-appointed public avenger.
I'm telling you, shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts.
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Son of a bitch, shut up! Kill him!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
If you have the opportunity to be in 12 Angry Men, or even just to see it live especially, I would highly recommend taking the chance to do it. Any one of the roles in 12 Angry Men will boost your acting ability because, again, developing a character, maintaining that character all the way through the process is such an experience and such a challenge, but it makes you so much better of a performer. From an audience standpoint, I don't think there's a time period in our lifetime that this show will not relate to and will not affect. We could have put 2015 clothing on and done the exact same show with the exact same dialogue up on the stage, and it would have been pertinent to this time. See 12 Angry Men, be in 12 Angry Men. It is a fantastic experience, and the show will never die.
Well, what do you want? I think he's guilty.
We want your argument.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have as much time as it takes.
Everything. Everything that came out in that courtroom, but I mean everything, says that kid is guilty. But do you think I'm an idiot or something? You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. I can sit in this goddamn room for a year. Will somebody say something? Look, why don't you take the old man? The old man who lived there and heard everything. Oh, take the knife. What, just because he found one like it? And what, the old man saw him right there in the stairs. And what's the difference? How many seconds it took, huh? What's the difference? The old man saw him do it. Every little thing. The knife falling through a hole in his pocket. Come on. I'm telling you. You can pace around the room all you want, but you can't prove he didn't make it to the door. Every single thing that has gone on in here has been twisted and turned. That bit about the glasses. Look, you don't know if she had them on or not. The woman testified in court. Well, that's it. What more do you want? That's the whole case! That business about hearing the kid yell, huh? The phrase was, I'm gonna kill you. And that's what he said to his own father. And I don't care what kind of man it was his father. These goddamn rotten kids. I know what they do to you, what they're like, how they kill you every single day. My God! Don't you see? Why am I the only one who sees? Jesus, I can feel the knife going in.
It's not your boy. He's somebody else.
Let him live. Okay?